Here is something that incompatibilists concerning moral responsibility and determinism have said in response to Frankfurt's examples. They've said this: look, in all of these examples, it may be true that Beth could not have done anything other than burn the letter. Eve's presence certainly did ensure that Beth was going to burn the letter. Nonetheless, there is some way that this could have gone differently, something that Beth could have done differently in the process that led up to her burning the letter. She could have started to be inclined towards not burning the letter. She could have started to go down that path. And as a result of that, if that had happened, she would have engaged Eve, and Eve would have intervened and put her back on the right path, the path towards burning the letter. But that's something that could have gone differently in the process, and something that we can think of as something that Beth could have done. And so there remains in these Frankfurt cases what the incompatibilists call a flicker of freedom, a little way in which things could have gone differently. And it's in virtue of that flicker of freedom that Beth is morally responsible, blameworthy for doing what she did. It's because she had this tiny little ability to do something a little bit differently that she's blameworthy for doing what she did. Because note, of course, if things had gone that slightly different way, if Beth had started to be inclined towards not burning the letter, and Eve had seen that and intervened and pushed Beth back towards burning the letter, then we would no longer think so badly about Beth. We'd be blaming it all on Eve. So the way to run this response is to say, yes, the principle that we need is not the principle of alternate possibilities as stated. It's not that you blameworthy only if for doing something only if you could have done otherwise, only if you could have done something different. It's a principle like this: you're blameworthy for doing something only if you could have, in the process of coming to do what you did, done something that was a little bit different from exactly what you did. And what determinism entails is that for everything we do, we couldn't have done anything other than exactly what we did throughout the process. And so determinism entails that we have no moral responsibility, although in cases like this, when there's like Frankfurt's cases, when there's something a little bit different that we could have done, then we do have moral responsibility. A second reply to Frankfurt's argument. Look, causation matters. In Frankfurt's cases, the thing that guarantees that Beth will do the bad thing, namely Eve and her machines, doesn't cause Beth to do the bad thing. Of course, if Beth had exercised her flicker of freedom and Eve had intervened, then Eve would have caused Beth to do the bad thing. But supposing she doesn't, Eve, although she guarantees that the bad thing will happen, is not a cause of the bad thing happening. So that's very important in our judgment that Beth is morally responsible for doing what she did. If Eve had caused Beth to do what she did, we wouldn't be blaming Beth. We'd be blaming Eve. So there is this general idea here, which is that when things outside of your control cause bad things to happen, then you're not morally responsible for those things happening. Although, of course, when things outside of your control merely guarantee that bad things will happen, you may be morally responsible for those bad things happening as as Beth is. But if determinism is true, then the things that guarantee that we do the bad things that we do, namely the initial conditions and the laws of nature, they cause us to do the bad things that we do. And so, if determinism is true, then we are blameless in everything we do. Although, of course, Beth can rightly be blamed for doing the bad thing in the Frankfurt case.